One thing I'd correct in your question is we don't want to be Silicon Valley.
Right.
We're never going to be Silicon Valley, and we don't want to be Silicon. We want some of the attributes of Silicon Valley, like growth, and we want great entrepreneurs and great engineers. But our goal is really, and shouldn't be, to be Silicon Valley. Those were unusual circumstances. They called Silicon Valley because it came out of the development of the silicon chip. And that was, the original companies in Silicon Valley were not software companies; they were hardware companies. But we have other things going for us in Chicago, that are different and compelling. And so I think we should aim for a different moniker. And I don't think it should be Silicon Prairie either. We're not, because that's just Silicon Valley with another name on it, But you guys, maybe you guys are better at this. You should really come up. I'm not kidding. You guys should sit down and come up with what you think we should call this. Nobody's come up with the right thing yet to call what Chicago is. But I will tell you something. There is no question in my mind that this is the fastest growing large city with a tech community, the fast growing tech community of any large city in the country outside of Silicon Valley. There's no question in my mind. And the reason that we're that way is because this community, it's an interesting thing because Rosie and I were both in the venture business in the early 2000s when it was like a nuclear wasteland here. And so from that to this, 1871, just as one small example, didn't exist, and you couldn't even do it back then. If you opened it up, no one would show up. So we've had an inflection occur. Several things have come together to make it possible. One is the cost of starting a company has gone way down. So you don't need as much venture capital. Second, with this environment, because it's very, very collaborative, the Chicago business community is extremely collaborative. You go to any other city, and I've been to most big cities, business people don't talk to one another mostly. If they do, it's like the real estate people talk to one another. People in financial services talk to one another, but nobody talks. In Chicago, even though it's a big city, it's like everybody belongs to the same club, kind of thing. And so the great part about that is when you want to collaborate about, hey, corporations, you guys are going to need what these small companies have. Hey, everybody, come take a look at what's going on in the startup community and collaborate with them and invest in them and use their products and services, be engaged with them. You can actually get that going, without a ton of effort. So we've got a long way to go, but it's also come a long way. We have every single day in Chicago to now, we have a startup starting every single day. So that means 365, tech startups a year. That number 5 years ago was like 50. So, and I think next year you're going to see, probably 2 years from now, you'll see that number double. We'll have 700 startups a year in Chicago. That's just, unheard of and very cool.